The morning sun painted the city streets in gold. But for 23-year-old Marcus Turner, the day felt anything but bright. Clutching his neatly folded resume, he walked toward the gleaming glass doors of Grayson Innovations, a prestigious tech firm in the heart of downtown. This was his 5th interview in 2 weeks, and his savings were dangerously low. Behind him, a few construction workers catcalled. "Hey, brother, you lost or something? This ain't the welfare line." Marcus ignored them, tightening his grip on the resume. Words like those weren't new to him. He'd grown used to dodging verbal barbs from strangers, who judged him by the color of his skin, before they ever knew his name. Inside the sleek, modern office, Harold Grayson leaned back in his leather chair, skimming Marcus's resume. Harold, a CEO in his late 50s, prided himself on running his company with tradition and standards. But when he reached Marcus's headshot, his eyes narrowed. Buzzing his assistant, Harold's voice was cold. "Don't bother sending him in." The assistant hesitated. "But Mr. Grayson, he's already waiting." "Did you hear me?" Harold snapped. "We don't need that kind of hire." The assistant sighed, stepping out of the office to where Marcus waited, nervously adjusting his tie. "Mr. Turner," she said softly, avoiding his eyes. "I'm sorry, but the position's been filled." Marcus blinked, stunned. "But I was told there'd be an interview." She glanced around, lowering her voice. "Look, you don't want to work here anyway. Trust me." Her sympathetic tone was a thin balm on the sting of rejection. As Marcus exited the building, shoulders slumped, he bumped into another man who scowled. "Watch it, pal," the man grumbled, brushing off his suit like Marcus had contaminated it. Marcus apologized quietly and stepped aside. He felt invisible except for when he wasn't wanted. Across the street, Oprah Winfrey was nursing her favorite double espresso at a small cafe. Her eyes caught Marcus's defeated figure as he trudged toward a park bench. Oprah recognized him immediately. "Is that Marcus Turner?" she murmured to her assistant. The young man had been one of her scholarship recipients the previous year. She remembered his ambition, his bright ideas, and his earnest desire to build apps that made the world more accessible for the disabled. It was rare for her to intervene directly in someone's life, but something about his downcast expression compelled her. "Excuse me," Oprah said, standing and walking across the street. She found Marcus sitting on the bench, staring at his resume like it was a script for a play he'd never get to star in. "Marcus?" she said, her voice warm yet commanding. He looked up, startled. "Ms. Winfrey? What's going on?" she asked, sitting beside him. "Why do you look like someone just told you the sun stopped shining?" He hesitated, then exhaled shakily. "I had an interview at Grayson Innovations, but they didn't even give me a chance. The assistant said the position was filled, but I know that's not true." His voice broke slightly. I think it's because of me. What I look like." Oprah's face softened, but her eyes sparkled with a fire Marcus didn't notice at first. "Let me tell you something, Marcus," she said. "The world is full of people like Harold Grayson, but you can't let them define you." "It's hard not to," Marcus admitted. "I walk into rooms and people see me as a stereotype. On the way here, someone called me a thug, just for existing." Oprah reached out, placing a hand on his shoulder. "I've been there," she said softly. "Doors slammed in my face because I wasn't the right fit. But you don't wait for the world to open doors for you. You build your own." Marcus forced a weak smile. "That sounds nice. But how do I build anything when I can barely keep the lights on in my apartment?" Oprah's lips curved into a knowing grin. "Trust me, Marcus. Sometimes the answer comes when you least expect it. You just need to be ready when it does." The next morning, Harold Grayson's assistant hurried into his office. "Sir, you need to see this," she said, breathless. On her tablet was a video that had gone viral overnight. Oprah Winfrey, seated in her expansive home, addressed the camera. "I met a young man yesterday, Marcus Turner, who reminded me why I believe in second chances and the power of innovation," Oprah said. "That's why I'm launching Turner Tech, a new startup dedicated to empowering young, underrepresented tech talent. And yes, I'll be funding it personally." Harold's jaw tightened as she continued. "And to the company that dismissed him without giving him a chance, you know who you are. Let this be a lesson. Never underestimate someone based on your own prejudices." Marcus, meanwhile, was overwhelmed with gratitude and nerves. He called his mother that afternoon, and she sobbed on the phone. "Baby, I always knew you'd make it," she said. "I just didn't know it'd be this big." At Turner Tech's launch event, Marcus stood at the podium, his voice trembling slightly as he spoke. "I used to think success was about getting through the right doors," he said. "But now I realize it's about the people who believe in you and help you build new ones." In the crowd, Harold Grayson sat stiffly, a reluctant guest of honor. Marcus caught his eye and smiled, not with malice, but with quiet triumph. Oprah watched proudly from the front row, her hands clasped in encouragement. That day, Marcus didn't just build a door, he built a bridge for others to follow. And as the applause echoed through the room, he realized the truth in Oprah's words. Success isn't about waiting. It's about doing even when the odds are stacked against you. When the world shuts you out, don't just knock louder, build something they can't ignore. And remember, kindness and belief in others can change more than lives, it can change the world.